Good afternoon.
Hello.
Welcome back to the Doc Day Drinking, which you are actually drinking on Good Friday. Happy Easter, everybody.
And happy birthday.
And my birthday today. Yay, go me.
We organised a public holiday for it.
Thank you.
So we have been day drinking and I feel like death.
Yes, that's why I'm on non-alcoholic now, because my chosen foods, fish and chips, high in fat.
Literally poured that just for the podcast. I will
sit and stare at it.
Gingerly sip at it, perhaps. Because I had, since you weren't here last night, because you needed respite. Or something along those lines. I decided, also because of my leech bite, so for the benefit of the listeners,
not good.
I will not show you a picture.
Ugh, no, please don't. It's gross.
I get cellulitis every single time I get a leech in Tasmania, in the lower legs, as cellulite, yes, that too. I also have cellulite of the legs. Cellulitis is prone to occur. I think it's just me pushing 50, sadly.
No, but surely there's something in you as well.
Yes, leech muck. So I would say I'm just
prone to it.
Prone to whatever bacterium Tasmanian leeches have in their mouth.
Yeah, FYI, did everyone know that Tasmania has leeches?
Lots and lots and lots
scorpions.
Of leeches. Well, I did in the end go to a quack. I wasn't going to bother, but because I thought, my thinking was, generally these days you can get away with a phone call. So I emailed him a picture of my leg, and the last time that I saw him was for the same thing, and I said, "Hi, secret handshake, this is cellulitis.
Same as last time.
Same as last time. Can I have some Augmentin, please?"
And they said no.
I got a phone call and they said, "Just drop in, we can get you in straight away.
Right.
And just come down and let him have a look at it." And I went,
cha-ching, cha-ching.
They get the same money regardless. Oh, yeah, you might be right about that.
I think it's different. It's a scale.
Yeah, maybe. It required a 1 minute consultation because he went, "Oh yeah, that's cellulitis." And I went, "Oh yeah, no shit." I said, "You knew that before I walked in here because I sent you a picture of it."
Did they even show him the picture though?
Yes, he did. He said, "Yeah, I saw the picture."
Again, I don't get it.
And I just said, "Fine." However, I did concede that he did put me on the spig in his office and my blood pressure was low.
Okay.
So
that was a plus.
So
wasn't a wasted
I
visit.
said grudgingly that was worth the...
Yeah. Did you make a noise?
He's always got a bemused look on his face of, I don't know, quacks hate PhDs and we hate quacks. Because it's basically... generally we're smarter than you are, and they grudgingly either admit or deny it. Either way, it seems to be a thing. And I'd be a terrible patient because I come in with my own diagnosis and say and the script and say, "Can I just have this, please?"
And you're not bamboozled by the jargon, which is what it all is. Like, they use scientific names for things and they use drug names for things, and muggles don't know what that means, whereas you do.
I never liked that either.
Normals.
Yeah,
laymen.
Civilians.
Plebs.
But, yeah, anyway, so...
And
but anyway.
mine's great. I said, my crazy Russian GP, we end up talking about other stuff. Like last time it was property development.
Which is normal too. But anyway, so I grudgingly offered that, yes, that was worth the case. I said...
Did you tell our dear listeners that you were taking dog drugs?
It's exactly the same. It's... What do they call it? I can't remember what the dog drug is, what the brand of it is, but it's basically...
It's the same stuff.
Of course it's the same stuff. It's what the human equivalent... I want to be so close to Joe Rogan that I'm doing a podcast and eating dog paste instead of horse paste. It's the human version of the drug is called Augmentin, and it's just amoxicillin, which is essentially penicillin.
And the name of the dog stuff is amoxicillin or something.
Yeah.
It's like,
but there's two ingredients. There's amoxicillin, which is just penicillin basically, and then the other one I can never pronounce probably, clavulanic acid, which is just a common ingredient that they put with penicillin to make it more effective. So, and which is, so the dog drug version is 400 milligrams of amoxicillin with around 120 milligrams of acid, where the human equivalent, the strong human equivalent, is about, I think, 825 milligrams. That's the dose of amoxicillin with around the same dose of acid. So I'm just taking 2 dog pills each time, which I'm actually due for now. I'll have that after this podcast. Because they're older. So I filled the script, of course, and he did at least when I went down there. I said, can you write me 2 scripts, please?
So I don't have to come back.
So I don't have to come back, because this happens all the time. And I can
diagnose. Don't get
diagnose.
us started on the shit state of Tasmanian medical care here. They wonder why.
I can effectively diagnose cellulitis. It's such an easy thing. It's like you have a bite, and then it goes, because it's hot to touch too. Like, it's really easy. Like, you can see it, and it's hot, and it goes like the skin of an orange. So it was an absolute textbook presentation. And it's like, it's gross. He was surprised at that last one. That's what I said. So I said, look, he goes, it left a mark. I said, I had to drain this, dude. I had to constantly drain it. He's going, oh, really? And I went, yeah. I said, it was really bad. It's like, I said it was getting to the point where
legs
it was
coming off, possibly.
Well, it was ulcerating. So, anyway, that's the Doc Day drinking. What festering sore news do I have?
I don't have any festering sores today.
But I will just say, on the end of it, the reason why it's interesting, Tasmanians tend to tell me, because every time I've gotten one of these leeches and I've gone, for God's sake, it's trying to kill me, because I get, 1 or 2 a year like this?
Yeah.
So the neighbour seems to say, about 1 in 10
for him
pings him, so, but in both of these cases last time, this one and the one before, because the one before I didn't even know I had a leech bite at all.
The one that left the scar.
And in this one, it came off completely by itself. So usually when you get an infection, it's because when you've removed it, you've caused it to vomit, or you've gotten more. So it's obviously whatever around here these things are feeding on, there's a bacterium that I'm not great with. And if nothing else, I'm hoping over time my immune system gets better at
catch up to it,
fending it off. But I'm not sure. It's really bad though, so I'm going to have to. But like yesterday when I got it, it's not like I was doing fencing and working in the long wet grass or anything like that. I just got a leech. But in any case, I think any time I'm going to be doing any kind of work outside, I need leech-proof socks, and I need to spray my legs with fly spray before going out. So I'm going to try and be more
put your socks on the outside of your pants too, even though they'll just crawl up further like they have done before.
They can attach through the sock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Unless they're an actual leech-proof sock, which is basically a gaiter, as you say.
I hate leeches. They're gross. And the dog had a leech in his mouth.
Yeah.
So we've had a couple of leeches. That was disgusting.
Which I was discussing that with the semi-helpful nurse at the counter, or medical receptionist, or whatever they're concierge.
What's it called?
I was getting antibiotics, not booking opera tickets.
What's a good having private doctor? No.
I want them to kill me. You're watching that this morning. AdFab reference. Yes, which I don't know if that's true or not, but she was a Kiwi and said we don't have leeches in New Zealand
at all,
and I find that hard to believe.
Jamie,
want to look that one up.
NZ leeches.
I find that very difficult to believe, but it's possible. Like, for example, you don't really have termites in Tasmania. There are leeches. Yeah, there are. Is there? Yeah.
Richardson blah 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 is one of the few blood-sucking leeches in New Zealand.
Few. So are they obviously less prevalent to the point?
Are there leeches in New Zealand? Leeches are common in New Zealand.
Okay,
especially in weedy streams.
All right. So that's the scientific rigour we expect from our
people behind a doctor desk, a GP desk. So no.
Right.
Where are they found?
So, well, I'm glad we checked that because, I couldn't believe it.
Land as well, because that was the other thing. These leeches here are on land in Tasmania.
They typically are, and I've also heard some other conjecture, which I'm sure is also bullshit, which was saying that leeches don't swim in water. I have observed with my eyes and my freshly
tiger
squeezed.
leeches here, the bigger fucking
I've
ones
seen
do.
massive things that look like snakes swimming.
No.
Definitely, flagellated backs on them.
Even locals have said, it wasn't a tiger leech, was it? Which is what they call them, the big, massive. So I haven't seen one of them in person. But
the last one of those I saw was down near the road that we're building, where the water gets to the things. Where I just saw,
there's one that way.
Where I've just seen them, like swimming in the water like tadpoles, going,
waiting.
Oh Christ!
Waiting for someone to step in it.
Well, what I was going to say about the dog, the other thing that I had discussion with them, because they said, wonder how the local animals deal with it, and I said, well, they must deal with it via their coats, like the wallabies and things here, that they're quite thick, which made me think of our dog, who also has a very thick coat, and that the leech ended up pinging him in the mouth. Like, they're going to go for the softer, more warmer.
Had leeches before that went straight through his coat.
Yeah, so
he's had them in. Yeah. So no, they don't discriminate, and they're revolting things. So I've got a thing of salt permanently downstairs. That's how often we get them in winter. So any kind of water on the ground, and they come out.
So moving on from leech news, you went to Burnie for
I did
your night of respite.
It was good. I enjoyed it. So the drive up.
I know nothing about this.
No, you didn't want to talk to me.
No.
Fuck you.
This is why she went away for a night, and why I didn't argue with her. Do you think Burnie's far enough?
I had a day to myself yesterday. I decided for my birthday. I don't do much for my birthday anyway, so
just eat huge amounts of fish and chips, which have nearly killed me. But yes, go on.
No, it was the drinking that went with it.
No, there's also the fish and chips.
Yeah,
I haven't eaten anything like that for months.
No,
so.
We didn't eat all of it. You upped the chip.
I ate my portion.
Oh God, did you? I didn't.
Yeah, I ate half the chips and all the crap that was bought.
Piggy. Anyway, so I went and got my hair done, went and got a massage, and then went to Burnie. Actually, I got a massage in Burnie. Drive up was good. Road work, not road work. Road work, not road work. All the way up. But again, there was only one bit of road work where there were actually humans. So I slowed down for that bit. The rest of them is so stupid. Half the time they've just left the signs out. And again, some of them are facing forward, some of them are facing backwards. So you don't know whether the signs are actually meant to be slow down or not. So I was just following what the cars in front of me were doing, and half of them and the trucks, the professional drivers, they weren't slowing down. And there was a few bits where literally it was not even 100 metres and they put out a 40 sign for nothing. Like, they'd relayed it and that was it. So,
it is rude, and in a perfect world they would be more vigilant with that, so the general population isn't so incensed by it. Well, I'll go beyond blasé and say incensed. But Tasmania, for the benefit of those listening, didn't really have speed cameras or anything until after COVID. So now they've got like half a dozen, what would normally be a light truck, like a light trailer.
Tank looking thing.
Yeah, so it's basically a big tool trailer with a big cock of a speed camera on it that they park around the place and around Launceston. It's hilarious.
Periscope on a sub, it looks like.
And they park them in they target the poor areas. It's hilarious. So they plonk one right in the middle. Like they don't put it up on the top of East Launceston on High Street where people do speed and or anything like that. No, they plonk it right in the middle of Ravenswood, just to take money off the poor people. It's very, very, very cynical. But yeah, it's only since COVID, because beforehand I always took the view, because there's so few people here and there is literally 2 degrees of freedom between 2 degrees of freedom, 2 degrees of separation between
2 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, between the average Tasmanian street and the fucking Premier, which is utterly the case. That I always thought they didn't do things like that because it was all a bit up close and personal.
That's why they've put the mechanical device in there. So it wasn't me; it was the tank. It's not. You're not pulling over Joe Bloggs, and you know Joe Bloggs, and you went to school with his brother, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, you're fucking his sister, and like you can bash that up your ass.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
yeah, like. So I think now, but they're obviously keen. They need a bit of income.
They need revenue.
They need the revenue. So that's my view. Again, cynical though it may be. So you went to Burnie.
I went to Burnie. So I got there, and I quite like it. Think Wollongong.
But you can't swim in any of the beaches.
Well, it's cold. And it wasn't
Bass
the best.
Strait.
It was, it is Bass Strait, and there's two massive tankers on the horizon, like Wollongong, sitting out there, and they were there all night. There was one all night, and then I think there was a new one this morning. But I stayed at it's called the Beachfront Voyager Motel, where you drive your car in, and there's doors, and you park your car. But I was upstairs in a nicer room, so I wasn't parked in front of mine. Fine, just not, I think 60s vintage maybe, brown.
How much was the room?
Thing, 210.
210.
Yeah.
It's more than I spent in the last room in Sydney.
Oh, there you go.
210.
Beach view.
Wednesday.
Balcony. Sat out in there. But it rained.
Of course it did.
So
it's Bass Strait. I
didn't get any of the thunderstorm though. But yeah, nice enough. And then, basically rolled up, got a massage, went into the supermarket. So it's weird. It was like in this. So it's this massive building, right? Like stories high, and there's Kmart written on the side of it, and Coles.
2 stories high.
No, like big.
4 stories. Tasmanian
it's
big.
All car park.
Right. Okay.
There's no shops. So I went in, and
is this in the main drag where it's kind of? It's been so long since I've been to Burnie. Main Street of Burnie is kind of like
3 or 4 main streets, and it dips down towards the beach. So you're heading towards. All roads lead to the beach. Anyway, so I thought I'll pop into the supermarket. But I literally went in there. There's one level of shops, and it's this big. Like I walked around once and went, "Is that it?" And then walked around again.
Yes, that's it.
That's it.
That's something you have to come to terms with in Tasmania. You do a lot of, oh, is that it?
Yeah, because I came around and went, oh, this is where I started from. Okay, no,
that's it.
All right, cool. So there's Kmart, Coles, and maybe 5 other shops in this thing that's massive. So anyway, so I went in there and got some stuff, and then came back out, and then had a little bit of a walk around Burnie, and went to one of the local brew, what is it called? Dining brew beer things. What is it called?
Beer barn.
That's it. That's what I'm looking for. It's like Duquesne, but in Burnie.
Which is like Little Gregers.
Communion Brewing Co. Very pretty girl behind the desk, the counter. I almost said, if you ever move to Launceston, I've got a job for you, if I've still got a bar. She was very good.
Just tell my husband he's not allowed to make it clear that my husband's not allowed to touch you.
Oh, well, she might be your style, I don't know, but kind of like, black winged makeup and that kind of thing. But by that, but competent, I mean, she acknowledged me, said I'll be back in just a second. She was already serving someone else. She came back, very good demeanour. Yep, knew what she was doing. Happy days. And then had a little bit of walk around Burnie. Burnie's got everything you need. And a beachfront. Went for a big walk this morning. That was weird. So I got up this morning and went out. Beautiful, like it's got a really nice beachfront. Think Wollongong. Exactly the same. Boardwalk.
I have been there. It's been a long time though.
On the right hand side, you've got them literally loading the ships with the shipping containers, though, like right at the end of the beach. So you can see a wall of shipping containers. That's funny. So, and you've got a constant buzz from the massive fucking thing that's on all night. And then I walked that way, and there's like a Tasmanian University of Tas campus in there.
Northwest campus. I've never been there. I've lectured there.
Yeah.
But I've never actually been there.
So I know it was Easter, obviously, so people were away, but it's all looks real empty. Like it's
that wouldn't surprise me.
Brand new.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe that wasn't there when I was there. So when I was a lecturer, it was very obvious. I would lecture in Launceston, and there would be a video connection down to like an old this is 20 years ago, so it's an old Polycom connection. Remember those things
God,
on the desks?
Vaguely, yeah.
So it was a Polycom connection down to Hobart Town, and then also occasionally to Northwest. So when there were students over there, but I think in students in Northwest there was maybe
3.
2,
Yeah.
like 2 or 3. And I always threatened. I did do one lecture from down in Hobart. It was just funny. Hobart was always, because it was always used to be the other way around. Your lecturer
Hobart
would always
would
be in
come.
Hobart, and you would be in Lonnie. You'd be on the other end of a video connection. So Hobart was very upset that one of the core computer science classes was being delivered from Launceston. And it's just like, well, that's where I live, and I'm the only one doing it. So yeah, move up here if you like, dickhead. But I did threaten once or twice to go over to Northwest, and I think at the time they went, we don't have the ability to beam you to the other, like it's receive only, because otherwise, for the benefit of the students over there, because again, I'm an excellent lecturer, for the benefit to try and be a little bit fairer for them, and also, quite frankly, have a lunch in Burnie on the government
I like
tit.
Burnie.
But literally less about that. It was to go over there and go, well, I'll at least do one a session.
Yeah.
So I went down to Hobart once or twice to do it down there as well. Just to try
Have
and
face-to-face time as well.
just to spread the love a
Office
little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did even, and again, like everything you're not getting an office for the day. It's like,
God.
well, I didn't ask for one, but it wasn't a case of the fact that there wasn't probably
10 available.
Yeah, it was
no-
just no quarter to be given to those from like the north versus south thing.
divide,
It's
yeah.
just, and at the university it was
Pissing contest.
it was unbelievable. And as I enjoyed pointing out to them, the vice chancellor's in Launceston, even though he was a dickhead.
So
allegedly.
it's nice digs though. So it's
yes.
stand-up concrete.
It's not about me.
No, it's not. Stand-up concrete buildings with huge glass fronts.
I'm still stuck on the $200 a night for what you showed me was about a $60 a night pub room. But yeah,
Easter. I
yeah,
don't
yeah, sure.
know. Shall we go through the things that you spend money on that are way more than what I spend money on?
Sure.
If you're stuck on it. Anywho.
You spend more on hotel rooms than I do. Constantly.
Moving on.
Please tell me more about Burnie.
Anyway, so the campus is right on the beach.
Mm.
You could literally
All right.
take 3 steps and you're in the penguin bushes.
As much, again,
Looking at the sea.
letting you go back to your own description of Burnie, but I was just going to think out loud for a second. You and I have been up there together once, but I think we might have just driven through
We
it.
drove
I
through
don't think
recently. Like in the last year we were coming back from somewhere.
I wouldn't think it was the last year, but I think it was, to put a date to it, I think it was just before COVID. I think the last time was when we had that trip to the where we stayed camped near that dam, and that was February 2020. And we
No.
came home that way, I believe.
No, because we were in the Muso and we did camping in my chimney.
So you remember going through there in a Muso? I do not. Don't recall. But anyway, it's certainly way more than a year.
Anyway.
Anyway, so but I think it's thrilling content. But I think the main thing is we didn't really stop and get out. I don't
never
remember
been
it.
out. I'd never
You
set
and I
foot.
have never stood in
No.
Burnie together
This is
on
my
the
first
ground.
time. But I
And
quite like it. It's got a bit of everything.
so apart from that,
Mm-hmm.
I think the last time I was in Burnie was on New Year's Eve, like 09
Jesus, why?
or 10, to go to a person you know's wedding.
Oh, the Ulverston people?
No,
The Penguin people?
no,
No, okay.
no. I'll tell you off air.
Alright.
So I went to their wedding.
So that I didn't actually realise that you
That's
drive
that long ago. So it's been 15 years more.
and then by Devonport, and then you go Ulverston, by Ulverston, and then you go
Oh.
Penguin, and then you go by Penguin, and then you're at Burnie. So I was like, oh, okay.
Sorry, I'm getting my... Not that it's all that important. It's actually longer than that. I think, what did I say, like 2008?
09.
No. It'll be like 04 or 05.
It might have changed a little bit,
Yeah.
but
So I haven't been there in nearly 20 years.
honestly, I was standing there going, I think Burnie's got more than Launceston.
Really? That's a big call. It doesn't, but
yeah. And half of it was shut because I got there in the afternoon just before Easter.
I'll go up and have a look.
It probably doesn't have...
It doesn't have a Maya.
I was going to say, what department stores does it have? I don't know.
Does it have a Harris scarf?
I don't know. I didn't look down every street, but it's got, yeah.
Which is possible to do in a Tasmanian town.
So anyway, no. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
So what did you do at night? Nothing, just sit in your room and look at the wall?
No, I went out and got a bit of dinner and then had a bit of a walk and then came back. And then, yeah. Don't know. Beautiful houses too. Some of them need it. So there's a pub looking at the beach too, which has got all the paint peeling off of the front of it, but the Hotel Regent. But it is actually a pub. I saw it like light up and turn on. I'm like, oh, okay. They need to paint the front of that. But yeah, and then right on the sands of the beach, there's a restaurant and a cafe which was opening this morning, Good Friday. They were putting all the chairs out, attached to the Surf Life Saving Club.
So there's a Surf Life Saving Club, so it means somebody swam there at some point.
So as I said, it looks like Wollongong. They've got big glass front doors, and I can see the surf boats in there that they rescue people with, and
it's probably more to rescue idiots in tinnies
the competing boats are in there as well, where they pull their budgie smugglers up their arse.
I was thinking it's probably, being Tasmania, I would say, is it more about rescuing idiots in their tinnies that are out fishing rather than swimmers?
Doesn't look like it. And they've got beach volleyball nets set up and...
For cold volleyball.
Said if the sun was out, it'd be nice. But it wasn't.
It'd be interesting to see.
I like the drive back. This morning, the drive back was, lovely.
Really? Didn't look like it.
Almost to say pretty. It was really good. It was drizzle, but there was mist in the hills and people were behaving on the roads, which was good. Tesla and I were jumping to and fro the whole way, and then he put his foot down and off he went.
I don't think a Jimny's going to be much of a match for a Tesla.
He turned off somewhere weird though as well, like in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Tasmania is the middle of nowhere.
And I was going, where are you going, dude?
In your Tesla.
Anywho, no. So it's a tick for Burnie. I'd go back there. I'd go back there before I would go to...
Hobart?
Yeah, probably.
Well, we should go and have a look, because there's Burnie, Ulverston, and it's definitely more Burnie, Ulverston, Penguin, Devonport. So, for whatever reason, I was thinking, we should go for a trip in a week or two, at least have a day trip and maybe go to some tip shops. And
so, on the drive up, because of the road work, it took me nearly 2 hours.
Fuck that.
On the way back, it took me an hour and a half.
Yeah, it should be about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, so, yeah. Because I had that appointment for my 2:30.
To pick up your fish and chips?
No, on the way there, I had an appointment for my massage. And I got there 25 minutes before that.
Asians?
Yep. Really good. First time I've ever had a foot massage. It's very good.
Did you infect them with
and I went to Best and Less,
disease?
because they've got a Best and Less there. They took ours away from Launceston.
I replaced it with a massive cotton on.
They've got a massive cotton on.
No, look at you moving to Burnie.
Reject shop, which I had a dig at someone behind the counter.
Why?
I could hear them bitching. He had a mask on, a paper mask, and they were saying something about some woman had come in and been rude to him about his mask.
Good.
And I was listening over here, eavesdropping, and then when I got to the register, waited till he'd finished checking me out, and then I went, you do realise that mask does nothing, right? He goes, but it's the only one I've got. And I went, it is ineffective. You should take it off. He went, but that's the only one I've got. And I'm like, okay. And just walked out. I'm like, you don't even understand what I'm saying to you. You may as well not wear it. I said, you need an N95 mask if you're trying to at least do something. Do you have an immunodisease? No. It's
the left-wing MAGA hat. My only thing with, like, wear a conch shell for a hat for all I care, and a pink tutu. I couldn't care less. But the problem I have with masks are two things. One, I'm deaf and I have to read your lips to understand you, and also I find masks, because of how much of my brain, even my slightly autistic one, which it's Autism Awareness Month this month. Let's talk about that in a tick. Is I find it off-putting, and obviously you do as well. So much of our brains are actually dedicated
to face movement, to tone.
Yep, and
to understand.
And I definitely had a problem with that during COVID, because it's like I can't tell your intentions, and I don't like that at all. Not that I had any kind of, genuine response to it, but it's just like, it's unnerving. Like I find it unnerving, which is fine. There's plenty of things I find unnerving, and I can cope with it, and I do, and who cares? But I can't hear you. And the amount of times where someone because that's what it sounds like to me if I can't read your lips, is like, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
You will, if you want to talk to me, you have to take that off. I am deaf. I can't hear you. And none of them ever do.
No, because it's not about you, it's about them.
I know. So it's just like...
And fuck you.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to watch a video about how that works, there's a really good one on Twitter at the moment, and the guy is a ranger from Scotland. I can't remember his name. Just in a nutshell about woke shit.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew someone.
The weird-looking redhead.
Comedian guy.
Yeah, so it's funny, and as I said, I remember discussing it with you at length during COVID, when it was all things, especially on planes and stuff, when you're getting people to direct you and do that. And I'm trying to think of the last time I actually had a reaction to it, and I think it might have actually been in an airport, where I just said, I can't understand you. I'm sorry, you're going to have to take that off to talk to me.
Yep. Which is allowed. Like, that was part of the COVID shit that they all put out, and they didn't bother to read that bit.
Yeah, it's the best I've heard it. It's the left-wing MAGA hat.
And I used to say that at the bar all the time.
I haven't seen a mask in the bar for a very long time.
No, even I saw GP mate came in, Royal Swan drinker, which I still can't get. Anywho, so no, Burnie was a success. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and as I said, the drive back...
Did you just thoroughly enjoy a day away from everybody?
I did indeed, just on my own, which is always nice, doing my own thing. And then, as I said, the drive...
You don't do it often enough, and you, again, here we air some of our...
I get that from my mother, if she's listening.
That's where we air some of our dirty laundry on in the public. I've told you time and time, you don't quite resent me for doing it, but I do it all the time.
You and I like different things.
Yeah, I know, but I understand the fact that I have to spend time away from here so I don't lose my mind and hurt myself or others. And you don't do that.
I don't need that as much.
Not 100% sure on that.
No. I like doing activity things rather than leaving.
Getting the fuck out of Dodge every so often is handy, and doing other things. And you seem to accept it in me because of my very different requirements in life that I have. But you should do more of that, and you have more of it coming up, just by virtue of the fact that you have some trips planned which will take you away from this rock-filled mud pit, leech-infested rock-filled mud pit. So yes, you should do more of that. But anyway, yes, you are a martyr. You do nail, and I put that up like, here we go. It's Easter, and your birthday's even on Easter. It's like, let's erect a cross and nail yourself in it, because no one fucking cares but you, sweetheart. Like, I don't give a shit. The dog doesn't care. The pigs are oblivious. Like.
I'm trying to figure out. So hot cross buns, which you haven't had any.
Yes, because with the exception of the immense amount of fried food that I've
tomorrow.
I've eaten today. No, God. A bun, sure. Maybe that will be a sensible dinner, actually, to try and soak up some of the grease. No, I'm
food. What
sick.
Time is it anyway? No, I'm not hungry yet.
So yes, anyway, so my birthday tends to be, so maybe for my birthday we'll go and have buffet.
You usually have KFC, that's your thing.
No, I don't usually have KFC. I haven't had that for years.
Once a year.
I'm going off it, man.
Yeah, it's junk food.
Well, I'm just going off all bad food, which is good.
Yeah.
It's very easy to say after you've eaten as much of that shit fish and chips that I've had today. Just go, I
don't feel well.
No thanks.
That's why it is junk food. Can't have too much of it.
Because yes, for the last 2 months I've been eating a diet almost completely of grilled meat
Salad.
and salad and yogurt and low GI
Like food?
cereal.
Like
Yeah,
actual food?
Actual food. So now it's getting to the point, sadly, where I get to that. And I don't mind a Chinese soup, but I'm just getting to the point where I just look at it and just go, oh, God,
yeah.
no thanks. Which is retraining. I'm training my...
What day is it? Friday. Things are open tomorrow. Sorry, yeah. Chinese greenery would be good tomorrow.
Yeah, I thought, well, that's what you saw the picture of that soup that I made last night, which was good. I just took some of that chicken that I...
Oh, yeah.
That
How was your barbecue? So
Barbecue's
tell our
fine.
dear listeners, how many barbecues do you have now?
Well, actually, barbecues. I think 4 or 5.
Your latest acquisitions?
Was I? So let's preface this. Was I right?
You were right.
Yes. So picked up barbecues are these things that people just throw away, even though and 9 times out of 10 they need some minor repair,
Cleaning,
and
they don't want to clean them.
So I got a fucking 7 burner wok fitting with a
weird thing.
with a cast iron Dutch oven
thing?
It's a Dutch oven
I've never seen before.
with a hood and the stand and all the rest of it. It's not rusted. I didn't even need to repair it. So I gurneyed it, and I knew what would happen. Like, I blew half the paint off it when I gurneyed it, that was the whole point. So I gurneyed it. It needs $5, like it needs a rattle can restoration.
No, I think the front door didn't close properly on the bottom of it.
All right,
That's
so it'll need a rattle can restoration.
That's the one up here.
And a $1
clasp.
hasp and staple from Bunnings.
And what was the reason the people... So you picked them up off Facebook Marketplace for nothing.
That was nothing. It also came with a cast iron wok of value between $0 and $900.
I think we've talked about this.
Yeah, and they said they were going to, we're going to buy a new one. Well, we're moving house, we're going to buy a new one, we're going. And it's just like, where are you moving? So they were in Invermay and they were moving to Mowbray. So, dear listener, that from actually boundary to boundary, it's the neighbouring suburb. They're moving 4 kilometres at most.
They could have rolled it down the street, possibly.
You could have feasibly pushed it there.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, you've got more money than me, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
And bicycles.
And some bicycles.
You got free push bikes.
Some WD-40 and some compressed air, and I've got 3 name brand, a Cyclops and 2 Mongoose. Mountain bikes. With all the bells and whistles.
So, guests here now in the guest house have guest cycles.
Please select from our selection of push bikes. People just throw shit out.
It's disposable these days. They just,
But this was an egregious example of, wow, there is nothing wrong with this. This is perfectly good. But I also understand what it's like, and we've been there before, of giving good stuff away because you need to move.
Yeah.
But not if you're moving do an extra trip.
No, we were moving interstate. And we had dudes coming with a van, and we had a certain amount of space.
Which is the point with this. It's like, just do an extra trip.
Yeah.
Especially when you can ride the push bike to where you're going.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, okay, well, Because he said, we're going to get new bikes too. It's like, there is nothing wrong with these.
Why? So you can just leave them outside like you've done these ones?
Anyway, well,
I wonder who bought those. I wonder if anyone bought those shoes that I donated. I donated some seriously expensive shoes to that op shop in Tarmore before we left. I was very sad to see them go. But I had all these heels. I didn't wear them anymore either.
Yeah,
corporate.
I'm always of 2 minds about all that sort of stuff. But easy come, easy go, I guess.
Again, yeah.
But
I'm never going to wear them.
Yeah, it's unlikely
and people
these
won't
days.
buy second-hand things anymore. Again, because everything's disposable. They just...
Anyway, yeah, so...
That's it. Anything else to talk about?
Not really. What I was going to say, local news. Well, I've quipped about Autism Awareness Month. Oh, God. You're not autistic. If you know you're autistic, you're not autistic, in my book. So, it's one of those amusing things where they've... this is where I'll cop some flack for this, but you can all get stuffed. I grew up with an autistic kid. And by grew up with the kid, I didn't grow up with him because it's like having a pet. He was not aware of his surroundings at all. He was 9 out of 10 on the autism spectrum, and he, basically had the intelligence of a pet dog. And was off the planet. That's autistic. The people that are Autism Awareness Month, I would say that they're, socially awkward, on the socially awkward to fucking annoying spectrum, and definitely with a side order of narcissism. Another one of those things. Oh, because the amount of time I've had people go, tell me, some of which again, I'll tell you off camera, who they go, oh, I'm autistic. It's like, you're not autistic.
Were they being sarcastic, though?
Nope.
Because I say that all the time.
No.
Like, I'm retarded.
No, a girl who used to work for us.
Oh, dear.
I'm autistic. Do you have a diagnosis?
See, this is where my problem with all of this shit comes from, with all the look at me shit. You might have something that makes you uncomfortable or whatever, but
that's just something that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Plenty of things that I have that makes people uncomfortable. Me uncomfortable.
are not allowed to say that. Well, you are, but you're a fuckwit. You can say whatever you want, but you're not allowed to take any resources from the people who actually need them. I'm sorry, you can't. Because there's actual people out there with actual problems that should be seeing people about their autism, and if you front up to one of those, it is absolutely wrong. You are... What's the word? So it's not cultural appropriation.
No, you're a narcissist.
Narcissist.
Yeah.
Disease appropriation.
Yeah, but then again, my narcissism has a thing. It's like, yes, it is actually a psychological condition when it is, like malignant narcissism.
Anyway,
but
sorry.
yes, anyway,
great.
So those sorts of things, I just go.
Have they got a flag?
Oh fuck! I just lump it in with the.
I'm sure they do.
Here's the thing. If you think you're special, and that thing that you think makes you special requires zero effort on your part, then guess what? You're not special. They should almost have it. Can we develop that into some sort of ruler which you can sort of use to measure against yourself like a fish? Well, that we could certainly do a flow chart. We start with, you feel you have a malady. Is the malady self-diagnosed? Yes or no? And then it goes yes, and then it's like, then you can get in there. It's like, oh God, it drives me mental. Clearly,
it drives me mental as well. But it's just part and parcel where we are in society at the moment. And And again, we're just splintering off into all these different. Why can't we be the same? Like, why do we all have to splinter off?
I think there's a lot to be. Is it the view that, like, how I always go, oh, you can live a quiet life there. Like, I see these funny little places, and I go, no, I could see myself living there.
If you're Burnie,
yeah, and you could say, you see this little house there, and you go,
serious money too on the way.
Oh, really? Yeah, there's a few of them in Tassie.
I did a double take and nearly did a watch where you're going.
Do we need to go over there and introduce ourselves?
Serious, yeah. I'm like, that's lovely. Driving. Next to something called Camp Clayton, but it's not the same thing.
I don't know.
So.
But what was I banging on about? Yeah, just all this sort of stuff is. I can't remember what the point I was going to make with that. Like saying, because that is one of my things. I go, you can live a quiet life there. What's wrong with living a quiet life? I suppose that's what I'm saying.
Splintering off. Why do you need the attention? Why can't you just
what's wrong with being a quiet life and read a book and just get on with it?
No one reads anymore.
You don't need the attention of medical professionals. You don't.
They're trying to get the likes and the
dopamine.
Dopamine from the Yeah,
I
think there's plenty of other sources of dopamine.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Says the people sitting here on camera talking into thing, but again, it's.
I'm not doing this for dopamine. You're forcing me into it.
Well, as a woman, you have no rights now anyway, so you must get used to it.
I'm not even a woman anymore.
You, as a cisgendered birthing parent, whatever the fuck.
Assigned female at birth. I'm not giving that any air anymore.
Well, I've enjoyed my mate Eliana Rubushkin, or whatever the fuck her name is. His name is
Blair White. She and I, we are one. On my opinion on this,
because that's my thing. Is I'll come back to Eli or whatever the name is in a tick. If you pass for a woman, I'll call you she, because my brain looks at you and goes, it's a she. That's why I'll call you she. But if you're a dude,
if you've got a beard,
it's like,
and an Adam's apple I can see,
and hands bigger than me,
yeah,
and a massive brick, it's like,
yeah, great.
Yeah, but if you
walk in heels. I saw that in Brisbane. Did you see that in Brisbane Mall?
It's Oh, yeah, but that was
guy-
not passing, because
No,
that was a
the
bloke
guy
in a dress.
and he couldn't walk in the heels. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're a fucking idiot. You can't even walk in the shoes.
Oh, everyone's got to start somewhere. But, as I say, yeah, that Eli Bird, so this is the one that poured all the tomato soup or whatever over
Parker
that
Posey.
Posey Parker, whatever her name
I
is.
don't know what her real name is, no.
Is it
Something.
Kelly Jean?
That's right.
Something or other?
KJK, I think.
Yeah,
Initials.
I don't know.
Anywho.
And as I've often said, I think she's largely a dick, and as you've said, she's a provocateur, and that's the whole point. Anyway, yes, that other idiot had done, because she is Jewish, had done like the whole, what they call it, a Seder plate with the Passover and all the rest of it.
And the cardboard.
and
Sorry,
put a-
Jewish people, it's cardboard.
Yeah, it is cardboard. Well, that's the whole point. Unleavened bread.
We
But-
had that in the office.
Oh, Christ.
'Cause again, I used to work for a Jewish
Because Jewish people do
investment
not...
bank.
You are a racist. They don't work in particular things apart from finance and Hollywood.
And I have tried. I have tried
tons
the
of it.
leavened bread, and it was not. Again, they need a dip.
That's not hummus.
No, there's no hummus to go with it.
Anyway, so there was a Seder plate, and this fucking moron had drawn a swastika on top of the on the tomato, and like was posing in front of it. And it's all again, as you say, it's all for the serotonin, it's all for the dopamine, and and all these other people are. Because I know how this is going to end, and I'll say it here now, and we'll be able to report back on it in 1, 2, 10, or 100 podcasts if we make it that far. But I know they ain't. It's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse as they continue to edge and edge and edge. So in the last week, or let's say the last fortnight for argument's sake, they've assaulted somebody publicly. They've engaged in fraud because they didn't go anywhere where they said they were, as they running from that charge, and now drawing swastikas on things and smiling about it and all the rest of it. It's like, Nick, it's only going to be 1 or 2 more steps, and they're going to do something that can't be undone. That's going to be a little bit more serious than that, and
Either to themselves or others.
to either themselves or others.
Yeah.
And that's, well, to either themselves or others, and then to themselves. Like, that's how it's going to end. Speaking slightly in code so as not to upset YouTube, but I know how this ends.
Yeah.
And that's why I'd said several times during that, and of course got blocked and everything, and everybody dogpiled on me. I'm just going, genuinely, you
Someone needs to
need
check
some
in.
help.
Yeah,
You need to go and get. You're having. I'm an armchair psychiatrist at this point, but that is
Psychotic.
textbook mania. Like, you are
Yeah.
manic as hell, and you're up and you're being crazy, and soon you're going to be very, very down and looking at all the sharp things.
But that's my other point. So, do you have any friends? So this person, like, what life are you creating for yourself by doing all this shit? Like, you're not.
Having spent
And
some...
if you had any friends, someone would be
Yeah.
checking on you right now, and they'd be going, you know what, I think we need to have you come with me, and we're going to go and get your meds sorted because this ain't healthy.
Yeah, look, who knows? You would
Put
expect...
your phone down.
You would expect from the angles of the photos and all the rest. Not that I'm taking this much, because I hadn't checked on it for ages, and then I saw it blow up with the tomato thing, and I'm just
Swastika.
going, oh, for Christ's sake! So it makes me go back and have a look.
Did they say it was a Buddhist symbol rather than a swastika one?
There was all the people trying to, you've taken it out of context
Justify
because he's
Did they
cutting
call
it
them
up
a
and eating
Nazi?
it like.
Did they call him a Nazi?
No,
'Cause
I
they were
got
calling
called
it-
Nazis
'cause
many
everyone else
times.
was like, I would have been called a Nazi if
Oh
I
yeah,
was
well,
at
I
the
have
protest.
been. I've been called a
Yeah.
Nazi today on
Jesus
Twitter with all these things.
Christ,
It's just,
yeah.
as I keep saying, not everyone who disagrees with you is a Nazi.
Nazi.
And no, I'm not a Nazi. like,
I'm not
please
Nazi.
get some perspective. I'm not, like, go to Dachau. Like, go and see what real Nazis do. Like, just because I think, as I do, and we've already had this discussion, it's like, yeah, I think that parts of the trans movement is diminishing women's rights, and at the end of the day, apart from having under duress some women in my life, I I don't have a like I'm the first to admit and believe strongly that I don't have a dog in that fight. I have a preference, but at the end of the day, it's your rights that you need to fight for, and you don't need me there standing like, I'll get this one for you, sweetheart. Like you guys got the vote yourselves. You can, without the help of men, and you can do this again. But it just shows you the utter lunacy of the times that we live in. There's all these things, and they're trying to absolutely. And it also shows, ranting and raving, what I've always said, which has been around for a long time, the Orwellian nature of it, the changing of, you change language and it changes people's thoughts, and it changes the way so now the word woman doesn't mean the same thing as it did a few years ago, and it makes things difficult to the point that everyone is finding all of this completely and utterly confusing. Yeah. I was a trans man. Does that mean it was a woman that is a man, or a man that is a woman, or was it always a woman? And does it identify? It's deliberately confusing.
And humans don't like to be confused.
No, and
it doesn't bode well.
And it's not really. But that's the other, again, even though you said you didn't want to give it all that much air, I just can't see, because I saw somebody today saying the trans people in this argument, they're not looking for rights, they're looking for privileges, because there's not that, because my argument always was like, what rights don't they have? And I think when it all boils down to it, the only places where there is genuine argument around rights is in sports, which has got to be a fucking edge case, like in competitive sports, where there's a danger, particularly where there's a danger to biological women, or where there's rank unfairness, or change rooms where women don't want to change. Be in change rooms with blokes.
No.
And apart from that, you can't be fired for being transsexual. All the things that really should matter in terms about going about your day-to-day business quietly and with dignity.
Yes.
Decorum and class and all those other things. All those things that typically make women attractive, unless you just fancy a slut, which was always the thing. Is like not all the time do you want a 10-course degustation. Sometimes you just want a greasy hamburger.
Ditto on the man front.
Yeah. Of course, you not always you want somebody cultured. Occasionally, you just want someone to push your face into a pillow and fucking freight train.
Tradie of some kind.
What was I saying? Freight train.
David Beckham, don't talk. That's funny.
But so anyway, that's all still raging on, because you mentioned it, like that one that I put up on my Twitter of that Canadian thing, which is just unbelievable. Like the freaks and weirdos and all the rest of it. It's because it's not about some bloke in a pantsuit. There was a wizard and an elf. It was unbelievable. It's like if men. But that's the thing. Not that I'm complaining, but if I went to if I had a this is the thing. If I went to a corporate job as a man, I identify as a man. I have a wife and 2 kids and a Commodore I tinker with on the weekends. And I came to work in bondage gear, I would be fired. My feet wouldn't touch the ground. It's just like identify as something else and I get away with it. I mean, they're just doing it for all that, and it's just like all this selective tolerance, and I find it utterly bizarre. I enjoy. I'm the first, which I think was always a thing where it went too far. I haven't thought about this before. Is this the pendulum correcting too far, as it always does when it swings back? Like the classic notion of the English, what's the word I'm looking for? what's the stem of esoteric? Like the oh God, my brain is not working.
No idea what you're talking about.
It'll get to me at the moment. Eccentric.
Oh, right.
Like the classic British eccentric. Like. You always come to work wearing a small fur hat or something, like where there was always some sort of bizarre, just slightly eccentric, insisted on always having a pink bicycle or something, like just some weird like eccentricity.
Yep.
Or, wouldn't wear shoes, didn't like, I don't like wearing shoes at work. I don't wear shoes to where there would be something, and like where they weren't tolerated for a while there. Because it wasn't appropriate in the workspace. Have we sort of gone way the other way? Because we sort of lost the great. I read an article once years ago where they were sort of saying, have we lost the eccentrics that used to make the world interesting? But we seem to have gone way too far the other way. Like that Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe stuff. Like,
yeah,
there was one wearing a clown, dressed as a clown. We've got to accept all these people and all the rest of it. It's like, sure, you can accept it, but
what job do you do in a clown outfit, apart from being a clown?
Well, it was like that guy that had a goatee and a mustache and was in charge of nuclear waste disposal and was stealing dresses from airport luggage roundabouts, baggage claim. And it's like nuts.
Yeah.
Completely nuts. And yes, where you're nutty in one part of your life, you can be in other parts of your life. And maybe we don't want this guy.
Keep it at home.
Yeah.
What you do on the weekend is your business.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
It comes back to discretion and decorum.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. Moving right along.
I'm not talking about that anymore.
Yeah.
Until it.
Well, I said the only reason
it gets to the point where I've got a placard, then you'll know.
The day drinking turf hour. But I just thought that other one coming up again, where I'm just going, where it's just so clearly a plea for attention.
Anyway, next.
Yes.
I'm not talking about that anymore.
You will not tell me what we will and won't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got?
I'm just scrolling through what Google served me.
Based on our complaints.
It's listening.
So I don't think there's much else to discuss.
Easter snow on the way for Tasmania. Awesome.
It's only 7th of April and it's still cold, wet and miserable. There was quite a thunderstorm here this morning that you missed out on.
I said I was behind that the whole way.
Yeah.
My drive was lovely coming back. Scenic, picturesque, cows in the meadows.
Cows on the road.
No cows on the road, thankfully.
All right. Well, anyway, I don't think there's anything else to discuss. So off you go, my children. Beware of wolves. Yeah. Not much else planned for the rest of the week either.
I don't even know what day it is.
Friday.
I haven't got any Easter eggs for us either. I'm sure
we will survive without low-grade egg-based chocolates. Egg-shaped chocolates, not egg-based chocolates. I said after lunch today I don't really want to eat anything again. Alright, this is terrible content.
Good
Goodbye.
evening.